Hello and welcome to the Bold Leadership Story Show, where we talk about experiences shaping exceptional lives. And today I am so excited because I've got an expert on food. And boy, I tell you what, I love food. I eat food every day, like most of us do, unless I'm doing an extended fast. And today I've got the pleasure of speaking with Carol, and hopefully I'm going to say this correctly. Grievé.
That's correct.
Right. Carol Grievé. Thank you for joining me, Carol. Carol is a holistic nutritionist, life coach, food educator, journalist, and she has a podcast and a website. The podcast is called Food Integrity Now. She's done over 300 episodes. She was doing podcasts before podcasts were a thing. So she's been at it for a long time. Carol she's for the past 15 years, she's interviewed some of the most influential food and health experts in the world. And she does live interviews just like this one. That's innovative and state of the art, which is really cool. She's written many articles relating to health and wellness, and she assists individuals and groups to eliminate chemicals and toxins from their diet and to create a way of eating that works for them. She understands that we're all unique and helps her clients create a strong immune system and a healthy mind, body, and spirit. And she told me before the show that it's all connected. And we're going to explore that today with you, Carol. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, Jim. I'm looking forward to this chat.
Oh yeah, me too. I've been excited all week because it's, like I said, food is. I love food, but I've learned recently, but having your food, knowing where your food comes from, I think is something that is important to know. What do you advocate? What do you talk about when people talk about food and where it comes from?
Well, that it didn't used to be as important as it is now, but unfortunately we live in a climate that there's much deception from some of the food corporations. And we really kind of have to be a sleuth to know where our food comes from. So
when I'm working, protective hat on and glass, and you got to go out and find the real answers because those marketing people are pretty crafty sometimes.
They use terms like all natural, which means nothing. I just saw somebody posted on Instagram. It was a product and it said all natural, just olive oil. But then when you read the ingredients, it said and canola and something else. So you just have to read labels. And for the most part, when I work with my clients, I teach them how to read labels, but we don't really want a lot of labels to read because we want to be eating whole, local, if possible, organic food. So it's very important. It's very important to know your source.
Why is it so important to know your source?
Well, number one, because of the deception. It's important to know your farmers. Did your food travel across the country to get to your grocery store? Talk to your farmers at the farmers market. Not all are certified organic, but some are doing the right thing. And they're not subsidized like the, big ag and monocrops are. And a lot of them are doing the right thing, but they can't afford to be, go certified. And it's important to know where if you eat meat, where your meat comes from. There's deception in that when you buy meat. It can say grass-fed, but it may not say 100% grass-fed, or it may not be grass-finished. So you have to really educate yourself. And like I said, that's one of the things I do with my clients so that they don't need me very long because they get educated of how to do this.
Well, yeah, it sounds like just from this first couple of minutes that there's a whole language associated with knowing about your food and food integrity.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
It's
you
like
know,
grass fed. What is grass fed, and what does it mean to be grass fed and finished,
yeah,
or
usually
pasture raised?
they had grass fed. They weren't fed grains,
Right.
and a
So
lot
then, what's wrong with the grains?
well, a lot of the grains.
Yeah, we could go down a bunch of rabbit holes.
Oh, the grains are genetically modified, or the crops are sprayed with glyphosate. So you're getting in your body whatever the animal ate.
Right, you're
So,
eating what you're eating.
yeah,
Wrap your
yeah,
head around that one. Say that 10 times fast. You're eating what you're eating.
yeah. So the education piece is key, and it's not easy, but it can be done.
So, what are the benefits? What is it you see? What are some of the success stories you've seen?
You can take back your health, number one. I mean,
What are some of the things that people see that you see people coming to you with in terms of their health issues based on the food they're eating?
I would say that 95 to 99% of the people that come to me for assistance have some form of leaky gut or dysbiosis, which means that they have an unhealthy balance of the good and bad bacteria in their gut. And as we know, the microbiome has been studied so much in the last at least 10 years, maybe 15, that most disease starts in the gut. And it starts with inflammation. So that's the first place I start with people. And I have a protocol that I work with people. And for somebody that doesn't have full-on autoimmune disease, they can clean up their gut in 2 to 3 months. And when that happens, everything changes. They feel better, they sleep better, they look better, they have more energy, and it's life-changing. Their quality of life increases.
Excellent. What types of foods do you recommend people, change? Is it a big change they have to make? Is it like this? Do they have to start doing fasting and buzzword intermittent fasting and all that?
Every body is different. I get that question all the time. What type of food should I eat? And I say, I don't really know until I talk with you. I learn a little bit about you. We see what's working, what's not working. Okay. But there are some absolutes. And those absolutes are, we cut out sugar, processed sugar. Mm-hmm. We cut out, almost everybody cuts out dairy. That's a tough one for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I highly suggest.
So that's dairy. What is dairy? Is that like eggs and cheese and milk?
Eggs are not dairy. Think about it.
Okay. Yeah. They're in the dairy section usually.
Yeah, but they're not. So it's it's cheese. It's mainly cheese and things like that.
Okay. How about butter?
No. There are certain kinds of butter that I recommend. 100% grass-fed butter for sure. Yeah. And for people who have, again, everybody is different. Some people have more of a sensitivity to dairy than others. So if they have a sensitivity to dairy, and we can figure that out pretty quickly, then I recommend ghee, which I use. And ghee is clarified butter, but it's not really considered dairy.
Ghee. How do you spell ghee?
G-H-E-E.
G-H-E-E. Okay. So
yeah,
ghee.
It's one. And it tastes great. It tastes like butter. And so people usually don't have a problem with that. They go, oh my God, I get to eat grass-fed butter or ghee. Yeah. You just don't want any seed oils.
Right. Okay. So it's not that bad. It's not like you're giving everything up.
No. Gluten is something I recommend most people give up. Now, is this going to be 100% the way you're going to eat the rest of your life? Not necessarily, but if you want to heal your gut, then you've got to do the protocol for a while. And then we can start reintroducing foods and see how you do with it.
Okay.
And again, everybody's different, but we eliminate, of course, all processed foods, and the key is you got to buy organic, and you got to eat grass-fed, grass-finished meats, wild caught fish.
So when I go into the store and I look at the organic section and I compare the pricing from organic to, the regular stuff, it's a lot more. So how do I justify eating organic? What is it that you recommend, or how do you justify that?
Have you priced the cost of cancer lately?
Good answer. No, but yes, it's expensive. I don't want to have
expensive, and I don't want to dismiss, for example, single moms who are feeding, their kids, and they have a limited budget of what they can spend on their food. But what we have found that is, as you go to 100% organic, as you move into that direction, you cut your health costs, dramatically. You're not going to the doctor as often, and you're just feeling better. Kids are in a better mood. Kids aren't, eating red dye number whatever, and all this processed food that really is not just affecting their physical body, it's affecting their mental bodies too. Hyperactivity, autism, things like that. So yes, organic food is expensive, but the other is more expensive. So that's just what I tell people. And if you're just starting out buying organic, what I would recommend is make sure that you buy all your fruits and vegetables organic, because that's where most of the pesticides are. So if you did nothing else but just bought organic produce, you'd start to feel better.
Okay, that's great. And you've been on this journey for quite a while. What is it that got you started way back when?
Well,
you were doing this before it was a thing.
Yeah. Well, I've been a life coach longer than I have a nutritionist, and been a life coach for 20 some years, probably 24 years. And I was doing a live radio show. That's what we called them back then.
It was real radio.
Where people called in with questions, kind of like a doctor.
A talk show. Cool.
And it was called Coach with Carol, and people would call me and ask me questions. I didn't do that very long because I decided I did not like that. But anyway, it was a time where I was just starting to learn about GMOs and pesticides. And so a couple of friends of mine and we decided, I said, well, let's take this Coach with Carol show and we'll change it, and we'll do a show all about food and how to eat healthy. Okay. So that's what we did. And we did live. I did Castle Rock Radio, which is in Colorado Springs. And we did that for a while, and it just progressed into, people want on demand. So then we started doing podcasts, and then the other folks that were doing it with me left to go do their other jobs, and I stuck with it. And so here I am.
So what is it what's your passion? Where does that come from for this? Because you love this, and it's something that you have, you've spent your whole life energy helping people to overcome food issues and learn about, you're an educator, you write. I know that's not easy to do. And then getting on these shows it takes discipline and effort to get it done well and be effective. I know it takes a lot of work. So what motivates you? What is it that's inside of you? It
is my passion, as you said, to do this. And as I said, I'm a life coach. So I help people really come up with what are they here to do? What are they passionate about? What are they innately good at? What really makes them feel good when they're doing it? And I believe this is why I'm here. This is why I'm here on the planet.
Okay.
And so I can't not do this. I love it. I get off an interview and I'm energized and I feel great. And I feel the same way in working with my clients, and being able to see their quality of life increase is just, it's fabulous. And so this is just what I'm here to do. And it took me a long time to discover it, but I figured it out. And, I had a previous career as a legal assistant for 23 years, which I was really good at and made great money, and it was not fulfilling for me. And so I kind of shocked everybody when I left that career and left my 5 weeks paid vacation and my big bucks job. And I said, I went back to school and became a life coach. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I found my passion.
Well, that's beautiful. How did you come to the realization of that? What was the straw that broke the camel's back for you?
Okay. Because I was doing a job that was so unfulfilling, it wasn't like I hated it, but I was just going through the motions, going to work every day, going home, collecting the paycheck, but not really loving my job and not really even liking it, but I was doing it. And I felt like basically I had the golden handcuffs, like, well, this is what I've done, so I have to continue to do this.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I got some assistance from my body in that. I got Lyme disease.
Okay. And what caused that?
Several things, I'm sure. There's a lot of, that's tick-borne. Is it tick-borne? Is it from a mosquito?
Is it autoimmune related at all?
It's autoimmune. It's, they don't know a whole lot. It's a very complicated disease. And when I got it, Jim, it took about 1.5 years to be diagnosed. I went to some of the best doctors. I lived up in the Bay Area at the time. I worked for a law firm. And
where in the Bay Area were you?
San Francisco.
Okay. I grew up in the East Bay near Berkeley, a little town called Orinda.
So I was working in the financial district downtown.
Okay. All right.
So I had access to really good doctors, and nobody could figure out what I had. I mean, I'd go to a rheumatologist and they go, okay, you got RA. I'd go to this doctor, or you have Sjogren's disease. And I go to this doctor and they'd say something, but none of it rang true to me. And every one of them offered me a new drug to take. And I just knew something was wrong. I finally found a acupuncturist in the Bay Area. His name is Ephraim Korngold. And I didn't realize, but he was quite famous because he wrote a lot of the textbooks for acupuncture in the schools. But I was going to him for the pain because I was in a lot of pain. And he said, have you been tested for Lyme? Your symptoms, they're all pointing in that direction. And I said, well, I had the standard test and it came back negative. And he saw that test isn't accurate and sent me to a special lab. I got tested, sure enough, and that made sense to me. And then I started working with Lyme, and I basically healed myself. I just did lots of research. I did it holistically. It took a long time. It took several years, but I healed it. And pardon me?
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that started me. I changed my diet. I changed my lifestyle. I had some emotional issues I needed to work on too, because as I said, it's all connected. I mean, you can heal everything in the physical, but if you've got anger and stuff from your childhood or whatever it may be, that's going to interfere with your well-being. So I did all that work and I healed it. And that was kind of the push to leave this job that was not fulfilling. I had to take 3 months off anyway on disability. And I thought, well, I think there's a message here. And so that's when I changed, and, I took a risk and changed my whole life and moved to Colorado and worked at a school for troubled boys, troubled teens, and became the parent life coach. And, so it was just one thing led to another.
And has that life, how has that life been for you, looking back on it now?
Oh, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't, because one thing, led to another, kind of like breakdown, breakthrough type stuff.
Okay.
Where,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you just break down and you got to go, what's going on? What do I need to do different? What am I missing?
Mm.
And that's when I learned all about healing, and that the body was so incredible. And, I started checking into what was really going on in the pharmaceutical industries, and how they were just masking the symptoms. And I didn't want to be a part of that. And I wanted to come up with more natural solutions. Now, I'm not totally against all Western medicine. Sometimes it's needed in certain cases. But for the most part, they're throwing a drug at us and making a ton of money.
Right.
And it's got side effects, and it just masks the symptom, because you got to get to the core of the issue. So I help people get with the core. What is the core? What's going on with you that is creating this dis-ease in your life?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it is.
Yeah, that's cool. That being a life coach and a nutrition,
it's
functional
all
nutrition.
connected.
It's all connected, and the spiritual side too.
Yeah.
So I found through my journey. My journey is similar to yours. I won't go into it now, but it's like I do 4 things now. It's every day. I have a diet that I do, and I spend time in meditation for basically stress management, and then I watch. I do sleep. I focus on getting at least 7 or 8 good hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the fourth thing? So food, meditation, sleep, and what was the fourth thing? I'll figure it out.
Exercise.
Yeah, that's the one. And I keep forgetting it because I don't like doing it. You called me out on it. Yeah, you're right. It's exercise. So
I just saw a study put out by Dr. Dale Bredesen, who, in my opinion, and many people's opinion, is the leading expert in the world on Alzheimer's and brain.
Yeah,
Dale Bredesen. Anyway, and the study showed that if you are walking or getting 10,000 steps a day, you reduce your risk for Alzheimer's by 50%.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's huge. It's 50. How many steps?
10,000. It's 10, not that hard.
It seems like a lot, but it's not.
It's really not.
It's like a walk around the block almost.
Well, no, it's a little more than that, but it doesn't, we're not talking strenuous exercise. We're talking just walking and moving the body, because most of us sit too much.
Yep.
We're sitting in front of our computers, we're sitting in front of the television, and we're not active. And it's really important.
Where did you find your information when you started on this path to heal yourself and get educated and develop knowledge? And you obviously tried a lot of different things. You tried foods and tried protocols, and you probably went into all kinds of different rabbit holes.
The internet, and you have to be discerning.
Yeah, there's all kinds of. Oh man, there's so much on the internet. I mean, it's crazy. It's good, but it's crazy to figure out what's real and what's not, because there's always somebody trying to sell you something.
I read studies, and I always go to see, first of all, who funded the study.
Right. Right?
Which is
Where's the
really
money?
important because there's a lot of scientists that have been bought. That's
Sure.
all there is to it.
Yeah.
If your listeners haven't listened to the interview with Callie Means, and I forget his sister, but it's been all over the internet. She's a former doctor. He's a whistleblower, and Tucker Carlson did an interview that it kind of went viral. But and
Yeah.
they
Cool.
talked
Yeah, I
about
like Tucker.
what's happening. They talked about what's happening with our food supply. They just really, and they brought what I've been talking about and my fellow activists for the past, 15 years. They brought it to the mainstream, and people are starting to realize, hey, maybe there's something going on here that I need to pay attention to.
Yeah. Thank
So I love that.
in a quick nutshell, what you mentioned, the system is changed. It's not what it was, and the foods aren't maybe as healthy as they were 50 years ago, right? So
Yeah.
I saw a study where they said if you were to eat an apple back in, I don't know, 1920, 100 years ago, and the nutrition content in that apple would equal, you'd have to eat 5 apples today to get the same amount of nutrition.
That's fairly accurate. Your food is only as nutritious as your soil. But since you brought up apples, I will tell people that there's 26 different pesticides that can be used on apples. So if you're eating apple, you better make sure it's an organic apple or pick it from your neighbor's tree.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
They're just so pesticide laden, apples are. So since you brought that up.
Yeah. No, it's so important to know where your food comes from, and that all these pesticides, the foods look good, but like we check peaches. My girlfriend Lisa and I, we shop at Roots down here in Temecula. It's a little
Yep, me too.
It's a great store, a little privately owned store, and they have a wonderful produce manager. His name's James, and he's on it, and he knows. He goes out to the farms, the local farms, and he knows the farmers, and he actually, helps pick the produce and arranges it, and it's wonderful. And then the grass-fed finished beef in there, a little commercial for Roots, but it's great food.
Yeah.
And like I said, I go into other grocery stores. I can't buy anything in there.
Yeah.
Because it's just, there's so many bad things.
I encourage people to, and I know not everybody can do this, but if you can grow some of your own food, even if you live in an apartment and put some pots on the balcony, especially if you have children, because it's really important that kids know where their food comes from. And, that they don't just think it just suddenly appears at McDonald's in a piece of lettuce on a, but growing your own food is something that everybody can grow a little bit in their backyards or on the balcony, but it really does make a difference.
Yes, it does. What do you see for people nowadays who are on a budget, who know they need to make this change, who know they want to make this change and get into this process of eating really good food, but they've got stumbling blocks. Like maybe they're thinking that it's too expensive, or maybe they're thinking that it's I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Or maybe whatever it is, what's holding them back? What kind of things do you find that people are stumbling about?
I understand that's a real concern. And again, I would encourage them to start out by just buying some organic fruits and vegetables, or buy some organic beans and rice. That's fairly inexpensive. And I tell my clients, especially when I have people and they say, well, I don't like to cook. And I said, well, you have a problem. You either have to learn to cook, or you have to hire somebody to cook for you. Because if you're not cooking, you're relegated to eating out. And we don't have an abundance of great organic, clean restaurants in our area. I'm going to
and you're exposing yourself to all kinds of things that you probably don't understand, like the heated fats.
So for a family with lots of kids and stuff, get a crock pot. Everybody can cook in a crock pot. You throw the stuff in, get a crock pot cookbook, and you let it sit, and you come home from a busy day and you have your dinner there.
Yeah.
But you start with the Environmental Working Group has a list of the Clean 15, which I'm surprised I even said this, but it's a place to start where there are some and the Dirty Dozen, and there are some things you should absolutely avoid if you're going to eat conventional. I don't suggest anybody eat conventional, but if you do, make sure you're not getting, buying your apples, and berries are heavily sprayed with pesticides. You go into a store like Albertsons and they got them on sale for $2 a quart and everybody's buying them. Well, you're getting tons of pesticides.
Yeah, you're paying a lot more than $2 with all the junk.
And again, you will save in the long run, or maybe you have to reprioritize what you're spending your money on. Joel Salatin, who's an amazing organic farmer, Polyface Farms out east, I asked him this question and he said, well, you have to prioritize. He said, you ask your clients, you say, do you have the latest iPhone? Do you have this, that, what are you spending your money on? It's like your health really needs to be number one. So spend your money on things that make you feel well and that will increase the quality of your life. So I just think that everybody can start somewhere, and I'm not suggesting you throw everything out of your pantry, although I do go to people's pantries and I see some of them and I go, all has to go. But no, everybody can start somewhere.
Well, Flo's watching the show, and she was asking are your thoughts on an indoor garden.
That can work. I'm not a hydroponic proponent. I like things grown in dirt. But things like maybe you can grow microgreens indoors. Microgreens, can be wonderful, for your body. And like the broccoli microgreens, I forget the exact figure, but it's like they're so concentrated, you'd have to eat like, 10 heads of broccoli to get what you'd get in one serving of microgreens. So that's a good place to start. Some people, they have grow lights, and you can do it. They've turned like a extra bedroom into a place where they're growing some food. So we have to be creative.
Yeah.
We certainly live in a climate where it's easy to grow food outside if you have the space.
Yeah. In California, we've got it. Well, thank you for the question, Flo. That was a great question.
Yeah.
And Bob Donnell says he's following. So thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
That's great. Appreciate that. Bob's a good friend. Let's see. So, how do you think about this idea of GMOs? What is GMOs, and what do people do to get away from that if they want to?
Well, there are certain things that some of the monocrops, or most of them, are genetically modified. That'd be corn, soy, canola, sugar beets. And if you start reading ingredients and you see corn is in everything. Mm-hmm. So if you're seeing that ingredient in something you buy, it's genetically modified. Do you want me to do a little bit about what GMOs are and the types of GMOs?
Sure, yeah. Let's get into it. I think that's an important topic.
Okay,
Like,
so there's
you say corn, like corn gluten-free. Corn is gluten-free, right?
somewhat.
So
There's a question.
It's one of the better ones. It's like if you want to go gluten-free, corn is one of the things that you can eat mostly.
Well, I don't recommend it for my clients, but that's a whole nother.
Where do you eat? Like,
What?
Where do you go to eat? How do you? Let's get into the
Where do
GMO.
I go to my kitchen. I go to my kitchen and eat. But I do eat out at a few places. Eat restaurant in Temecula.
Yeah, well, it's hard. It's hard. Like I'm out doing stuff for work. You get business meals and all kinds of things going on that you have to be out and about, social, and
you do. And I tell my clients,
human is eating together.
I told you earlier, I mentioned earlier to you before we came on that I won't even take a client unless they agree to eat mostly organic. But I know it's difficult to be 100%. You're traveling, you're on a business trip. Sometimes you can prepare, you can bring things, but if you have to be out, just make better choices. Like, I'm the squeaky wheel at the restaurant. I want to know what they cook things in. Are you cooking this in seed oil? How are you sauteing this fish? Where we're using, vegetable oil? No, because you use butter this time. And I think the more that we are that squeaky wheel and demand cleaner food in our restaurants, the better off we're going to be. But I just encourage my client to make the best choices they can. Mm-hmm. Seed oils are really responsible for a lot of issues with our health. So we're learning more and more about that. And if you start reading labels, you'll see it's in everything. Sunflower oil, canola oil, safflower oil. But more and more, as consumers in my world anyway are demanding products that don't have that, you can find things that have coconut oil in it, which is fine. And avocado oil, which there's so much fraud in avocado oil, but
and olive oil too.
Olive oil too. Yeah, you got to you got to know your source. So it's just really important to do your due diligence. And
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, let's get into your website here a bit. I'm going to pull that up, and we can talk about Food Integrity Now. So this is your website.
Yeah.
And so on here, you've got your blog, and you got your listen to your show, hire Carol, you've got nutrition coaching, life coaching, parent coaching, schedule a consultation. You have a health store and tons more. Beyond Food Integrity. Let
me talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
I talked about how there's no separation. So I did a whole series with another therapist, where we talked about different issues that affect your life. And these weren't specifically food related. We talked about the importance of forgiveness. We talked about letting go of judgment. We talked about aging and versus growing old, which is, totally different. We're all going to age, but we don't have to grow old. Mm-hmm. So I have a whole series on there that, could help somebody too with their lifestyle and maybe some of their life choices.
Oh, that's great. So let's brain health and thriving like a guru.
Yeah.
Talk about that a bit. How does food relate to brain health?
The gut and the brain are intimately connected. So lots of the pesticides, including glyphosate, which is, the nasty one we're working on getting banned.
Is that what Roundup is?
Roundup. That's the active ingredient in Roundup is glyphosate. It goes through the blood-brain barrier. And
do they use that product in all kinds of things in agriculture? They use it to dry the produce before they harvest it. It's not just for killing bugs. They use it all over the place. And
it's called a pre-harvest desiccant. And they, for example, they have their crops and they want to harvest it all at one time. So they douse it with glyphosate. It dries it out and then they harvest it. But glyphosate is systemic. That means it gets in every cell. So when you eat, for example, wheat is used, they use glyphosate as a pre-harvest desiccant. There's many people who believe it's not the gluten intolerance, it's the glyphosate that's on the wheat. So we are actively working on getting glyphosate banned because I'm on the board of Moms Across America, and Moms Across America did the first testing of glyphosate in this country, and they tested breast milk, and it was even in breast milk. So it is everywhere. It's in our water, in our food.
It's in mom's milk?
Yes. And if people want to go look at the information, go to momsacrossamerica.org, and there's tons of information. I am the president of the board and have been for years, and we're doing all kinds of testing. We tested school lunches, and the results were abysmal, to say the least, of what we're feeding our kids in school. We tested for gluten and we've tested for heavy metals in baby food, and all those results are there. So it's some bad news, but we never leave you with, this is the bad news. You know, there needs to be solutions.
Yeah. So what is the solution? And do people, do you think people are aware enough in general yet?
No.
What's going to wake them up?
Unfortunately, I find most people wake up when they get ill.
Right. But then they go to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, just take this, you'll be fine.
Yeah. But there are a lot of people who are starting to understand that what you put in your body is affecting your physical health. And it does take some work to clean your body up. But the good news is you can do it.
Yes, you can. But it's not the easy road.
It's not the convenient road.
It's not yeah. Well, that's another one. This is a subject that's, oh man, convenience.
We have given up so much for convenience.
We could talk for hours on that one, I think.
Yeah.
What is convenience and what it's costing us as individuals,
it's costing our health,
families, and society,
our children's health.
Yeah.
You know, the convenience of cell phone with EMF radiation, you know, with our kids like this, because we don't want to go outside with them or something. And I'm not ditching moms. This is just the lifestyle that we've created.
Right.
And, you know, I've seen 3-year-olds, you know, with the cell phone right up in their face, and it is affecting them. So turn your phone off from time to time. Hardwire your computer. My computer's hardwired, so I'm not sitting here with the Wi-Fi blasting me. It's not hard to do. If you want to learn more about that, send me an email. I mean, it's not rocket science how to do it.
Yeah, Bob says hard not always to be avoided.
Hard is not always to be avoided, right?
Right.
Right.
We were in a conversation this morning about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at convenience, we want it now. You know, now we can order off Amazon. What do you mean it's 2 days? Why isn't it here in 1 day? Right. I mean, the things we've given up for convenience, I think we've given things up, and I think 2 things have happened. We want things to be convenient, and we get fearful. And when we go into fear, we tend to flock together, and some of those choices may not be the wisest choice, you know, versus, you know, understanding how powerful you are.
Yeah.
I believe we're all the most powerful people we know.
Well, yeah, and stepping into that power is part of, I think, making a decision. One of the things that I remember making a decision that I was going to be responsible for my health. And once I decided that, everything changed.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I started questioning, well, where does my food come from? And why am I feeling this way? And what is my body telling me that I'm not listening to right now that I should probably listen to? And where is my food coming from? Who's telling me how to manage my health? And what is their agenda? And where do they, make their money? Those kind of questions started popping into my mind. And then I started doing the work to answer those questions. And I learned so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bet you feel better.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. I think in the last 4 years, I've completely changed everything, and I feel so much better. I have more energy. My skin tags and moles have gone away. My eyes are better. My night vision is better, and everything works better. So it's like, yeah, it's working. So
Yeah. Another thing people can do that I recommend too is, if you have a job and you're on the computer all day, make sure you're wearing blue blocker glasses, because those you're getting that blue light and that affects your brain waves. And it also can it can exacerbate cataracts. And so if you're on the computer, for any length of time, these glasses right here, no, not, I have 3 pair right here. These have blue blocker in it, but you can't see it. These aren't like,
okay. Usually they're like a weird yellow color or something.
Yeah, I have those too, but I use those when I watch television, because if I'm watching a movie in the evening, and then I'm going to bed immediately after, which I don't recommend. You need to be in dim light for about a half hour before you go to sleep. You'll sleep better. But if you wear those colored glasses while you're watching a movie, that'll really make a difference.
Okay, that's an important point, because it's like our whole environment is structured around convenience, like we were talking about, and
Yeah.
we build things and live a way that's the least expensive way we can in many ways, and that means that they use ingredients in the products that we buy and that they build our homes with that aren't necessarily the most healthy.
No.
And, right? So because it's not, the priority isn't your health, the priority is getting the job done as cheaply as possible.
Or looking good. I mean,
Or looking good.
I don't get me started on Botox and fillers. Sorry, people. I'm pretty adamant about it. I mean, if you want to do it, you go for it. But I've really looked into it, and it does go into your bloodstream. And I'll probably get in trouble from a lot of people who are doing this. But and I'm not judging you if you're doing it. Just know what you're doing.
Right.
Know what you're doing. There are better ways to have from the inside out, to have nicer looking skin.
Yeah. Well, there is so much to this subject.
I know. And you mentioned household items. I mean, that's, when I'm working with a client, I do a couple of sessions just on what are you using in your home?
Yeah.
What are you cleaning with? Do you have an air filtration system? I love Air Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an Air Doctor in my bedroom, and then I have it in the main area, because our air is pretty dirty.
Yeah.
And water filtration, there's a lot to it.
There is. But again, it's like, I believe now my body, I was given this body as a gift. And I believe that it's my responsibility now that I've made this decision to be in charge of my health,
Right.
that it's my job to provide it with the best that I can.
Me too.
Right? And in return, my body is giving me so much energy and life and enjoyment every day. And the other side of that coin is when it's like that old commercial, pay me now or pay me later.
Yeah. Excuse me.
The car
I
commercial.
swallowed something wrong.
Uh-oh. You all right?
Excuse me.
Oh, well, all good. You okay?
Yeah, it went down the wrong pipe.
I'm sorry. It's
Probably talking too much.
Yeah. Well, it's important talk.
Yeah.
But it's understanding what you've got. And for me, it was understanding, and it is every day, how can I be better at giving what I'm given, this body that I have? How can I make it better? And it's an investment.
Yeah.
You know, you go out and you buy the cheapest stuff, cheapest food, and you buy you live in the cheapest places, and you don't take care of your eyes, and you don't take care of the air you're breathing, you don't take care of the water you're drinking, and you're just not taking the best care you can. You'll be okay, but eventually it'll catch up to you. And those are the people that I think find you to say, help me.
Yeah. I'd love to work
By
with
then it's
people
like kind of too late.
Well, it's never too late, really. I've worked with people who have, cancer and RA, and it's about quality of life and making your life better, not being in pain. And I believe it's never too late to change and to make wiser choices for yourself. And what you were just talking about is what you decided about yourself. To me, that's just honoring yourself and loving yourself. And, when we truly love who we are, it's much easier to love others around us. And taking care of our physical body is an act of self-love.
So it's a reflection of your beingness, really, how you're showing up in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And are you having integrity with yourself? I wanted that word integrity in my company, Food Integrity Now, but integrity, not just with food, integrity in everything you do in life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Christopher Paul Cleary, this topic is definitely on the docket for people to talk about. He's on a weekly call with his nutritionist, and they're talking about many of the same things. So that's great, getting the word out, Christopher. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes people need help. It's okay to ask for help, when you need it. I mean, I think, when I had Lyme disease, I had to reach out to people. I had to get help. And yes, I healed it on my own, but with the assistance of many people and many experts and people who are smarter than me in this area. And not that I made them the man in the white coat, which I think a lot of people do. If the man in the white coat said to do this, then you do it. I don't believe that's true. You have an innate knowingness about your own body. And yes, you can listen to somebody's advice, but bottom line is do what feels right for you.
Yes, I absolutely agree. But I was not of that mind before I made that decision to be responsible for my own body. I acquiesced. I gave the responsibility to the doctor. It's like they know better than I do. And then I had a health issue that like you, I was going around to different places, and they're just like, they weren't figuring it out. So I was like, well, I got a brain, and I got the internet, so I can go do my own research, and I can try my own things because they don't seem to know. So I'll figure it out myself, and I'll take responsibility for it. And yeah, it was a crap ton of work to do, But I tell you what, I've learned so much and I've gained so much confidence in what I'm doing now. And not the knowledge is empowering, and having the ability to understand and listen to my body and have it talk to me, and I respond to that. It's like we're in this, I call it my entity now. Actually, my girlfriend, Lisa, she calls it her entity. And it's really smart. It knows a lot about what's going on. And if you listen to it, it'll tell you what it needs.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I do. I think that too many of us don't listen to our intuition. And yes, you need knowledge, but knowledge without wisdom is nothing. So,
well, it's having that, doing the exploration and then having knowledgeable people around you. It's your community and who you're associating with. There's Bob Donnell, he talks about, connectology. He has a program he calls connectology, and it's all about associating with great people and getting relationships built and having them be nurturing, fulfilling for a long time in your life. And those relationships are tantamount to your well-being and your enjoyment of life.
Absolutely.
So the better you are, it's a skill. So the better you are at that, I think the more joy you experience while you're here. And
well, there was so much focus on health span. What's your health span going to be? But I like to look at it as lifespan. And so lifespan to me is like, I'm going to live long, but I want to live long and healthy.
Yes.
No, I said that backwards, didn't I? Health span. I'm sorry. I said it backwards. Health span is what I want.
That's what I thought. Okay.
I said that backwards. Anyway, my point is I want to live a long life as long as I'm healthy. So that's what I'm working on, I'm going to be healthy when I'm, 95.
Yeah.
So that's my plan.
Well, yeah, it's like Dr. Blansett, Lisa's doctor, she talks of, she's a functional DO and really amazing. And she talks about helping her patients to live a long life and not be in the wheelchair and a walker for the last 10 years and not having any fun. It's like, well, she says, I want my patients to live, die.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's kind of that's what I want. So it's like the health span is better than the lifespan, because typically with the American system that we have right now, a large percentage of the population is just, they have a lifespan, but the last 10 or 15 years is typically fraught with all kinds of health issues that they're battling.
Yeah, or they're taking pharmaceuticals to keep them alive, but their quality of life is not very good.
Right. So you're helping people in the Temecula Valley. Let's put up your.
I help people all over the world because I do Zoom.
Okay, so you're doing your work on Zoom. That's awesome. And your website's Food Integrity Now.
.org.
And you go check out Carol's site. She's an excellent resource. We just scratched the surface on a whole bunch of amazing topics today. But thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. And if people go to my blog, all the information is free, and do a search over on the sidebar there under blog. And that's how you join my mailing list, which I'll never inundate you. They join us. But if they go to the blog and they do a search, let's say they want to learn about diabetes or heart disease or something, they'll be able to bring up every article or show that I've done that talks about those.
Okay. So excellent. So you got all these categories and lots of great information here. Look at all these pages of stuff. So yeah, it's a great resource.
Yeah.
And when I finally found or decided about my health, the first question I had was, okay, where do I get information? And then I started digging into the internet, and I found all these resources. Everybody's out there.
There's a lot of resources out there. There really are. Yeah, there's
and it was like, how do I weed these people out to figure out what's really important to me and my body?
Yeah.
And that's where you come in. If I'd have known you earlier, I'd call you, hey, Carol, help me out here. What do I got? How do I weed through all this stuff?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's been a pleasure to be on here with you, Jim. And like you said, we can talk for hours on this stuff. It's a broad subject.
Well, and it's a very important subject too.
Yeah.
I think,
yeah.
For yourself and your family and your extended family, to educate everybody about what's going on.
Yeah.
With food and where your food comes from. It's exciting, I think. And sometimes challenging, but always, for me, it's been really rewarding. So
yeah,
thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah. Well, we'll sign off. Y'all have a good day.
Okay. Thank you.
Hang on with me, Carol. Hang on.
Okay. Okay.